What is up, you guys? This is MiniSuperHeroesToday. Hey guys, in today's video, I'll be showing you every Ant-Man minifigure ever made, which will include the side characters. Usually if I do like every Iron Man or every Captain America, it's just the main one, but there have only actually been 3 Ant-Man minifigs with some microfigs, so let's just go ahead and talk about everybody under the Ant-Man umbrella in today's video. Be sure to hit like and subscribe, and comment down below and let me know how many of these you have in your collection. Alright, let's get into it. Be sure to check out my new song, Let's Get Small. There's a video on my channel now, linked down below, and the song is inspired by Ant-Man's adventures. I hope you enjoy the video. I'd love to hear what you think, and let's get back to today's video now. So 2015 gave us our first ever LEGO Ant-Man set, which was the LEGO Ant-Man Final Battle. It came with 3 minifigures, and the first of which was Ant-Man. Now, the first Ant-Man movie had a lot of interesting history to it, with a lot of rewrites, and maybe that's better for another video, but the LEGO Ant-Man Final Battle set was based off of concept art for the movie. In that concept art, Ant-Man's mouth was actually visible through the helmet, but then they changed it so that the mouth was closed, but by the point that happened, LEGO had already made the helmet mold for Ant-Man where you can see his mouth. And that's how we ended up with an Ant-Man helmet with an open mouth, which we'll see quite a bit as we go on here. This, however, is the Scott Lang minifigure in Hank Pym's vintage suit. The head is the same head that they used on Ezra from LEGO Star Wars. There's what it looks like with the helmet on that way. And overall, it's definitely a really cool figure that I think has aged pretty well with the exception of that helmet. And of course, the best thing you could possibly do is put the Endgame helmet on there to upgrade it. And that looks awesome. So let's move on to our next figure. Remember how I said the first Ant-Man movie had a lot of rewrites? Well, in the original version of the movie, Hank Pym was going to suit up in a new suit and join the final battle. I've read over the years that he was actually going to turn evil and help Yellowjacket. I've also heard that he helped Scott. I guess we'll never truly know since it didn't actually pan out in the movie, but you can see that it's actually a direct inverse of Scott's suit. The printing is exactly the same, except some of the colors are changed, and some of the details are lost because the suit became black. But overall, it is a pretty cool suit. The head that they used is Gandalf's head, actually. Of course, Michael Douglas had a goatee in the movie, so that didn't translate super well. But it uses a black version of the open-mouth Ant-Man helmet, and this is the only set that that helmet ever appeared in. So, kind of a cool little quirk. And overall, it's a nice figure, but it doesn't really make a lot of sense unless you know all that backstory I just explained. By far, the best figure from that first Ant-Man set was Yellowjacket. He had an entirely exclusive part build to him here, with this awesome helmet with the translucent yellow eyes. If we lift it up, you can see he has Loki's head, that head that's been used on tons and tons of characters over the years. But of course, we've got great torso and leg printing, and he's got this contraption built on the back where he's got the lights up top, and stud shooter guns that can be moved on these arms to make him even more menacing. And since we're taking a look at him, let's go ahead and remove the head so that we can remove the neck bracket so that you can see that there's printing on the back of the torso as well. All in all, this is an awesome figure and definitely one of the standouts from the entire Ant-Man wave, let alone that first set. 2016 brought us our first ever Ant-Man micro figure from the Civil War Superhero Airport Battle. This is a super cool figure because of how much printing they got onto the miniature statuette style. He's got a fully silver head with a black body and printing on the front of the body that looks really, really great. This was so much fun back in the day when it came out, and I think it's aged exceptionally well. The other thing is, in case you're ever, getting stuff in your collection and you can't tell which is which, the Civil War version does not have red lines on the helmet, and the Endgame version does have the red lines. So we'll talk about him on his own a little bit later, but for right now, that's your Civil War microfig. Now, I do love the Giant Man figure, but he's too big to fit in my normal area, so I moved him out here. Anyways, this is from Civil War, and this was the Giant Man build. He didn't really have any play features per se, except for the fact that the mouthpiece opened down so you could see a Scott Lang smirk underneath there, but there was a sticker on the front. The face piece was actually printed, interestingly enough, but we have a sticker across the belt, and one on each leg. As you can see, his shoulders are posable with ball joints, and you can have him hold a minifigure just like he holds War Machine. So I'll have him hold another Ant-Man here, because I just so happen to have one handy. So there you go, you got a little variant inception there, but he's holding Ant-Man, which is pretty cool. You can twist the wrist there, of course, and the legs were posable too. So it's literally just a giant brick-built minifig, which looks awesome. And speaking of which, let's put it next to a minifig so you could get a scale reference. Yeah, that thing is so cool, even all these years later. I think a lot of people forget about this figure, but this is the Hank Pym Giant Man minifigure, which came in a poly bag promoting the Avengers video game back in the day. So I think that this is a pretty cool figure. I wish that he had dual molded legs. Of course, the way I display mine, I just put dual molded legs on there, thanks to this guy. But the yellow legs do look really good on there, but it's pretty cool. He's got printing on the front and back of the torso, as well as the back of the head, and it's a pretty obscure character that I really don't see LEGO ever making again from a bygone era, so it's definitely a cool one in my book. 2018 brought us the Ant-Man and the Wasp film, so the sequel got us a brand new LEGO set for the movie, which was the Quantum Realm Explorers. Now, this gave us probably the best minifigure Ant-Man to date, which of course is him in his upgraded suit. And just to compare it to the previous version, you could see that they added a lot more of layering and texture into the quality of the print. You know, if we zoom in, actually, you could see even better that there's like bumps in the torso and things like that that are missing on the original. And it just adds a lot of cool depth to the print. Now, getting back to the figure in focus here, you can see he's also got back printing, really solid there, and we still have the open mouth helmet at this point, which if we lift up, you can see he's got a smirk on one side and a scared face on the other. I think both of those work pretty well for Scott Lang, but that open mouth is pretty unforgivable considering LEGO had 3 years to get it right by this point. But it is what it is, and it's still cool to add to your collection regardless. Now, Ant-Man and the Wasp did give us our first ever Wasp minifigure, and unfortunately, she is a disappointment even to this day. A lot of people think that this is one of the worst MCU LEGO minifigs ever made. I don't know if it's that bad, especially when you take a look at, like, Happy Hogan. That figure's bad, but we're not talking about him in this video. Anyways, the big reason this is disappointing is because the Ant-Man that came in the same set had the translucent eyes and the helmet, and yes, the helmet was still inaccurate with the mouth open, but it would have been nice to get that for Hope as well. You know, also, the following year, we get the Endgame Ant-Man, which looks really good. And so could you imagine this helmet mold with this printing on there, how much of an upgrade that alone would have been? Regardless, I don't think it's the worst figure ever, but it definitely could have been a lot better. Actually, my biggest gripe with it are the wings. These are kind of cartoonish and comic book looking, and the wings from Beetle from Spider-Man would have been so much better for Wasp. So that's what I recommend using if you have these. Just swap them out. But regardless, a lot of people complained again, you know, that Ant-Man got leg printing and Wasp didn't. So it's just a disappointing figure, I guess is the best way to put it. You can see that she's got this face underneath that they were using on Princess Leia at the time. I think it was used in some Harry Potter sets at the time too. So it's not a great figure, but it definitely could have been better. Our third figure from that set is Ghost, which was definitely a cool inclusion. I really like what they did with this minifig too, with the dark gray hood that kind of contrasts the rest of the gray figure. The face printing is awesome. It almost looks like Ultron, but it's definitely representative of Ghost. And if we flip it around, you can see Ava's face exposed on the back, which does look good with the hood as well. I think it's a great figure for what it's trying to represent, and if you know, Ghost shows up in the Thunderbolts, which as of this video she's rumored to, it would be pretty cool to throw back and see what her minifig looks like for Thunderbolts versus this. Or maybe they won't make her in Thunderbolts and this one will be worth $100. A guy can dream, right? I do feel that it's worth mentioning in 2018 there was a San Diego Comic-Con exclusive set, which was Giant Man and the Wasp. Now this came with a Wasp minifigure, but it's the same one that we just looked at a few moments ago, so I don't have this set actually. If I did, I would show it here, but it's a cool set. No exclusive pieces. The only thing exclusive to it is the packaging, so I think it's worth mentioning, but we'll just keep moving on. In 2019, we got the Avengers Endgame sets, which gave us Ant-Man in his Quantum Realm suit, which was identical to all of the other Avengers suits, but the biggest thing it gave us is this awesome Ant-Man helmet. It's kind of unbelievable they only ever used it this one time on this one figure because it looks so good, but if we lift the helmet up, you can see he's got that Scott Lang head from the previous movie. They didn't change that, and overall, it's a pretty disappointing figure from the neck down, but the helmet makes it worth it in my opinion. Interestingly, we also got a quantum Ant-Man in his micro scale, which, this could honestly be any of the Avengers because they all kind of shrunk down and had the same look. So I never really thought about that till I sat down to make this video, that it could actually represent all of the Avengers, but it is supposed to be Ant-Man. So I'm just throwing out some food for thought. In our final Ant-Man minifig to look at is the micro figure from 2021. This is the Endgame Ant-Man. It's a micro fig once again, and we did look at him briefly earlier in the video. As you'll recall, he has the red lines on his helmet. It's a nice looking micro fig, nothing really game-changing. I wish that we had gotten an Ant-Man minifig for Endgame, but it is what it is, and it's still a cool figure all around. Basically, all you have to do to make the Endgame Ant-Man is take the Ant-Man and the Wasp minifig, take the helmet off, and put the helmet on from the Endgame Quantum Ant-Man, and there you have the perfect Ant-Man minifig. Now, as sort of an epilogue, I think it's worth mentioning that in 2023, we are getting a Giant Man construction figure. I think that this set looks really, really bad. I don't understand why LEGO keeps making these, because I just think they look terrible, but it is worth mentioning. It's not out as of the time I'm recording this video, but it is a part of the LEGO Ant-Man history, so we gotta document it here. With that being said, let's zoom out and wrap this video up. Alright guys, let me know what you thought of this video, and let me know what you think of the future for LEGO Ant-Man. What are some things you'd love to see them make, or some things you'd like to see them go back and revisit that were talked about in this video? Be sure to hit like and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys on the next video. Well, you made it to the end of the video. Thanks for hanging out with me today, and don't forget to hit like and subscribe, and maybe check out one of my other videos listed here.